Welcome, reality programmers. My name is Anne, and as you can see, I have beach hair. I spent the day at the beach today. It was a really well-earned holiday or day off. I frolicked in the ocean. I had an onsen, which is like a Japanese hot spring. And I had sashimi lunch, which is like raw fish, Japanese raw fish for lunch. It was a really great day. It was my prize to myself for spending the last month, at least 3 weeks, taking out a large chunk of dark magic that was affecting this realm and a lot of people. I call this dark magic Freya dark magic because I intuited and linked it to the Viking goddess Freya, the Freya lineage. And synchronistically, I met 3 people, or I connected with 3 people that I knew, 2 of them quite recently, who had expressions in the Freya lineage. This is the magic of 3. 3 is a very powerful geometry, a very powerful number, and it is very abused. So it was a good chance for me to get them to acknowledge and revoke their part in the corrupting of the Freya lineage dark magic. There is good magic in this lineage, but many fell into darkness, and that's how this lineage magic was corrupted. And it turns out that the Freya dark magicians, they harvested the DNA of giant worms, massive giant worms, and they would take this DNA of worms and make small like small worms and braid them into a knot or a braid, like a Celtic, almost Celtic design, a braid. So these braids were sentient, they were alive, and they would wrap around people's spines. And these sentient braids, these sentient worms, would wrap around your spine or whatever and attach to you. They were incredibly well cloaked. They also used cloaking magic using feathers. And an indication that you have, thank you, someone just reminded me, touching my nose, an indication that you have one of these Celtic braids, Freya dark magic, on you, is if you touch your nose becomes very ticklish and you're doing this. So if you're sitting here watching the video doing this, your nose is itchy, you've probably got one of these braids, these Celtic dark magic knots. And what they do is they're an entanglement trap, and they will attach to you and cloak another entity that is attached to you. So they will attach a version of yourself that is in trauma, or just a really dark version of you that is bad. So you can have a version of you in trauma that is a good version of you, or you can have a version of you that is literally, a bad guy. These bad guys are mind controlled. They don't know who they are. And so healing them, you have to have a conversation with them. So this Freya magic took me about 3 weeks to unravel. It was quite a brutal and challenging couple of weeks, because when you're dealing with dark magic, it's you get things thrown at you that is cloaked and you can't see. So I made a video a couple of weeks ago about my experience in healing Lemurian trauma and dealing with parasites, how to get these parasites that wrap around your spine, how to get them off. They're brutal to get off. But as the weeks progressed, I realized that they're not parasites. They are, in fact, these worms braided into a Celtic geometry. And I put these revocations on my Telegram and my Facebook SKINSUIT manual. So you can go there for the revocations. But I'm going to share the video I made a few weeks ago, because I think it has some value for you. I was dealing with these parasites, trying to, what I thought were parasites, but were actually worms. I was dealing with them, trying to get them off. It was linked to a lot of trauma. They cloak entities, and I had an entity attached to me that I couldn't see. It was cloaked by the Freya feather magic and these worms, but initially I only saw them as parasites wrapped around my spine. But, you know, as I did inner work and dimensional work, you know, more was revealed to me, and I discovered that they were in fact worms. I have worm lineage, giant worm lineage. And so the worms are a collective consciousness, and they're holding a huge amount of trauma. They were brutal to get off until I discovered how to get them off. And what they need is a lot of love. They need to know that you will support them in their sovereign evolution. So if you do have an itchy nose, it might indicate that you have one of these Celtic braids that are alive with these worms attached to you in some way. It will be hiding or cloaking an entity that requires healing, and you need to get these worms, these braids off you. They do need sovereign evolution, and I found the quickest way to get them off you is to unravel them. So you connect with these, just audit yourself. If I have any of these worms in any way, shape, or form attached to me, you just unravel them. They kind of like this movement, because you gently unravel the braid like this, and then stretch them out. So give yourself a big stretch out, do a bit of yoga, maybe have a good stretch. Lots of heart space love, and send them off into a realm for sovereign evolution with their kind. And hopefully you can grant them some creational authorities to reproduce. This is what I found they wanted most, and they healed very quickly and got off very quickly. And then, of course, you'll be left with what they were hiding or cloaking, and it will be an entity, a version of you. And that could be a version of you from Lemuria. It could be human, it could be unicorn, it could be whatever. Give it a big hug. I have a Akashic audit where you audit your true Akashic. I posted that on my YouTube and Telegram and Facebook. That's always a good revocation to do when you're healing entities, because they don't know who they are. And so you can audit, say, the revocation and for them, so that they realize who they are. that might make your healing go a lot easier. I will be posting a few more videos about my healing protocols to share with you how I heal entities. I have so many different protocols depending on who I'm dealing with, but it's a process, and I'll share what I know. So it won't be included in this video, but I have posted some revocations for the Freya lineage dark magic on my Telegram and Facebook and YouTube, I think, so you can check those out. So basically what I ended up revealing was 3 feathers, the magic of 3 feathers bound by this, what looked like a Celtic or Norse or Viking braid and these braids were sentient worms. And this was a cloaking magic, dark magic, and it was cloaking a lot. What were they cloaking? They were cloaking so much. They were cloaking so much in our realm. They were cloaking so much in people's energy fields. They were also cloaking implants, restraints. You know, you can have etheric restraints like chains around your ankles. They were cloaking devices. They were cloaking programming, such as your soul plan, your akashic, your DNA memory. They were cloaking some scripting. There was so much they've been cloaking that I've never seen before. So this is a huge revelation. So much is being exposed right now. So I hope you're all doing okay. It's huge. As I unraveled and discovered more over the course of these past three or 4 weeks, so much was being revealed to me. As I was taking down the Freya dark magic, everything was being exposed. I was being hit with this, that, and the other. And I even found some huge AI constructs that were being cloaked or hidden by this Freya lineage dark magic. I found an AI cube that was trading energies from people birthed into this realm. I took that down. And so a lot of energies are coming back to people who have been born into this realm. I also found a huge AI construct that was linked to that. What was it linked to? It's completely gone from my mind. It was linked to something really huge. The dome, our dome. I saw like we live in a snow globe kind of setup, and it was dome magic, dark magic. So it apparently had something to do with the holographic projection of our heaven, the sky, our heavens that we see, the stars and the planets that we see. It was somehow being tampered with and manipulated. I think there are a lot more planets in our solar system than the very few that we know. And I also saw another thing that was revealed was a massive, almost like, it looked like a clock with all the cogs, and it was the base of the matrix construct, the base of our realm, and it anchored us in linear time, which is fraud time. And this clock was then absolutely revealed. I could see it, and I didn't intuit that I needed to do anything. My piece of the puzzle, my part in this dimensional trench work was just to take down the Freya magic, dark lineage magic, which would reveal and expose a lot of components of our matrix and a lot of attachments that we have. That was my part. And then I believe that other psychics will will have their missions to go in and do their part. So I've done my bit. And I do believe this will result in a lot of disclosure and exposure of more truths that will emerge. So I think this is a good thing. I also had a lot of, in the past just couple of days, I had a lot of timeline incursions where entities were trying to get me to undo what I've done. Lots of incursions from the antiverse, parallel worlds, all sorts of things. So I kind of had a hard time keeping on my timeline and making sure that nothing I did was undone. That was kind of pretty hard, but I really enjoyed the beach today. It was a well-earned swim, frolic in the ocean with a great lunch and hot springs afterwards. So here is the video that I made a couple of weeks ago where I thought I was dealing with parasites, but they were actually worms. It has a lot of other information that I think is relevant or helpful to people. Because I was processing a lot of really dark and heavy energies, I was cooking. So I had to keep myself busy. So I made some lemon butter in my kitchen. In my little Japanese kitchen, and that's the video I made. So I hope it's helpful, and I will be posting more videos about healing and expression with a lot more revocations. So there aren't any revocations posted in this video, but the relevant revocations are on my Telegram and Facebook pages and YouTube. It's the Freya Dark Magic revocations. So I hope you enjoy my attempt at cooking video. Thanks for watching. Today, I'm cooking. I'm processing some very heavy energies. It's trauma from Lemuria. And like Atlantis trauma, it's often the source of a lot of trauma for an entire spirit tree. So it's very deep-rooted and very entangled kind of trauma. And by releasing your Atlantean or Lemurian trauma, it is usually a huge healing for your greater I am soul, your spirit tree. It's quite brutal and very dark and heavy. I've been dealing with this for a couple of days now. So I decided to cook. In order to do something I love, I get myself out of the way. And if I don't do something I love, if I don't keep myself busy and keep myself out of the way, if I don't distract myself doing something I enjoy, I can see and feel and hear and intuit more of the trauma. So by keeping busy, doing something I enjoy, I can get myself out of the way and process these energies a lot quicker and a lot easier. Today I'm cooking lemon butter. It's the most delicious thing on the entire planet. You can put it on toast, you can put it on cakes, you can pretty much just eat it from the jar. The recipe I use, I don't use any sugar. I replace the sugar with honey. So it's a very simple recipe. Gets a bit tricky at one point, but I'm going to show you how to make it. As we cook, I'm going to talk about my understanding of healing Lemurian trauma and my experience of doing that. I think everyone processes trauma differently because everyone's connection and trauma, of course, is different. But I had some expressions in Lemuria which fell into darkness pretty deep and pretty dark. And then I have, in the past couple of years, I was working with a psychic, let's call him Mr. X, and he's a good person, but in my unawareness and in his unawareness, he was connecting to mimics of benevolence. Some of these beings were linked to crystals or orgone pieces that he had. Some of these beings were just beings he could see and communicate with in other dimensions. And there was even a Michael who was Archangel Michael, but just preferred to be called Michael. Of course, they were all mimics of benevolence. He is currently aware of some of it, but not all of it. He's on a journey too, and he's a good person. So anyway, in my unawareness, I allowed these entities to heal me. Mr. X would often ask these entities to step in and assist in healing, and I would consent and accept. And that, in my unawareness, was my consent to give up a lot of my energies, a lot of my SKINSUIT abilities, 5% of my soul, a lot of soul shards gone, and these entities sold and traded them. And a lot were taken back to Lemuria. Time travel, time space is one. These were taken back to Lemuria, and the artificial intelligence that had infiltrated that realm then created new beings with my soul shards. So there is these artificial sentiences running around with my soul shards, and they were predators, apex predators. They caused a lot of karma for me in my unawareness. So they did a lot of bad things. They went on killing rampages. They were mind controlled. And so I have a lot of karmic weight that I have to clear. Some of the karmic weight actually I can pass on to the person who stole my soul shards and created this entity, because I've revoked all contracts. So a lot of the karma is actually not mine, because it was coerced through trickery. So anyway, this is a great healing for me and for Mr. X. Mr. X actually doesn't talk to me. He hasn't spoken to me for several years because he thinks I'm trying to kill him. Well, some of my expressions probably are, and they are expressions that are created from stolen soul shards from this point in time, because in his unawareness he was working with these entities that were allowing me to have my soul shards stolen to go back in time to create monsters to come and attack him, me, monsters of me. Did I say that right? So basically, a couple of years ago, I was working with Mr. X in my unawareness. He was allowing these entities to heal me, and I was losing my soul shards and a lot of genetic material and a lot of SKINSUIT abilities, because I was consenting to allowing these entities to heal me. I trusted Mr. X, and in his unawareness, he's a good person. He didn't realize what was happening either. And this is why it's really important to be very discerning on who you allow to assist you to heal yourself. If we can't heal ourselves, ultimately, then why are we here? What's the point? Ultimately, we have the ability to heal ourselves. We have to learn how to heal ourselves. We can heal ourselves, but it is a process and it is a journey, and we do have to earn certain authorities and reclaim a lot that's been stolen from us in order to achieve the ability to heal ourselves. We have to get rid of all the blocks and impediments in this realm. We have to get rid of a lot of the toxicity, both physical toxicity, the toxins that we can see and feel and drink and eat, and the etheric toxins that we can't see. So we have a lot to clean up in this realm, but I think we're on a good timeline. We're doing a good job, so hang in there, everyone. But in the meantime, it's really important to discern. Be very careful who you allow to assist you to heal. So basically, my genetic material was stolen, my soul shards were stolen through my consent, in my unawareness, via Mr. X, and then they were taken to Lemuria, where predators and evil monsters were created, and then these entities that had my genetic material would come back to this time through portals and attack Mr. X and me. And Mr. X kills everything. Apparently he's not killing so much anymore, which is good these days, but he generally kills entities, especially the monsters that he meets. I heal everything, and this is one of the ways that I found out that these monsters were carrying my genetic material, and how all of this unraveled. Because I heal. I even heal the apex predators. I even heal what I can. Sometimes I can't heal something, and I have other options, like to try and uncreate the evil that was created. I can send certain beings to a gauntlet of love realms, or the hell realms, or a different time space, or a better time space. You know, there are things that you can do if something refuses to be healed, or cannot be healed, or is too traumatized. They can go on a different journey rather than a true healing, where they go into like an audit process, where they get audited by their spirit tree, by the true source that they are, and they undo what they've done. And they'll come back and tell me things that they did so that I can undo it. And they tell me secrets and access, and how I can access certain things. So when you heal a version of yourself or someone, you know, if they've got interesting information, some intel, they'll come back and tell you. So this is one way how we heal ourselves. We heal the realm. You know, we are one, and we can really make an impact just healing one person or one entity. We can just find that piece of intel or information which really makes a difference to our lives or the realm, or, you know, it's a team effort. Let's cook. I have 3 lemons. They're not organic, so I washed them. We need half a cup of lemon juice, and we need the zest of 2 lemons. Sometimes I put a bit more in. So this arm work is good to process the energies. Any kind of physical action always helps process the energies. Of course, I should be out jogging, but that's not going to happen, is it? So the Lemurian trauma kind of hit me like a bus. I had been ignoring it, trying to detach myself from Mr. X, but of course I didn't realize how entangled we were, and because he doesn't talk to me, he thinks I'm trying to kill him. It's very difficult to resolve all of our entanglements. I've been doing a lot of work over the past couple of years, healing versions of him that have entered my game. And the versions of me that entered his game, of course, I'm pretty sure he killed. So I'm trying really hard to set up protocols and traps to block any versions of me or anything with my DNA from entering his space. Not only because I don't want him slammed or hurt, but I don't want him killing them, because that's some trauma for me and obviously karma for him. So that's just not a good situation. And the reason I'm not calling out Mr. X by name is because he's not the only one calling in Michael and guides and entities linked to crystals and orgone pieces. You know, many healers are using entities outside of themselves that they're not really discerning properly, or, you know, that these entities, they're very cloaked and mimicking benevolence, and they're very good at what they do. The bad guys are bad. And I did this, you know, I was calling out to my guides before I became aware. My fake Indian chief guide was only too happy to step in and help, you know, so I can't judge anyone. And once I learned to decloak and learn to discern artificial sentient entities, I had a lot to undo. So many healers are going to have a lot of revocations to do. I had to do it, and I think a lot of people will have to undo what they've done. And there's no judgment here, because so many of us have done things in unawareness. And I think this is a part of the journey of humanity waking up. We're here to take back our power and our sovereignty. And it is a process, and it is a journey, and we really shouldn't judge others. So often, you know, light workers, we get very entangled with the people that we work with. A lot of relationships, or you know, business relationships or working relationships between light workers can turn very sour. And these are the reasons. It's from entanglements in other dimensions. The bad guys, they're bad. They pit us against each other. It happens all the time. And so if you're having a problem with a fellow light worker or some conflict, the conflict is real. They pit you against each other. They'll make one person, you know, steal all your money, or you know, whatever, say terrible things about you, or foster a lot of mistrust, and a lot of, you know, you can be actually controlled to do things you wouldn't normally do. They can control people around you to cause or inflate the conflict. Bad guys are bad. And so whenever you have a drama with a fellow light worker, just know that it will be absolutely, in my opinion, dimensional. And you're going to need to track the root of this trauma. If you've been healing each other or sharing healings, look to the where you heal. If you've been using entities outside of yourself for healing, you're going to need to audit those entities. You're going to need to track or discern who they really are, and have they been taking energies from you, like soul shards, and creating monsters or predators, or just AI, artificial sentiences, that will then step in and pretend to be good, mimics of benevolence. This Mr. X was working with Michael, a so-called, he admitted that he was Archangel Michael, but, you know, just call me Michael, and we all just thought, oh, what a lovely man. This was about 6 years ago, I think. And so we all trusted him, and actually his healings were incredible. I must say, his healings were so gentle, and, you know, you could feel the energy coursing through your body that was just so uplifting and healing. They heal you to get your trust, because they're operating on stolen soul shards, probably mine. So you've just got to be really discerning when you allow anything outside of yourself to help heal you. So I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, just discern. And the trauma that I connected with was a whole bunch of apex predators. And also some Time Lords were in that group. I had some very traumatized people, a version of myself that was very traumatized as well. They didn't know what was happening. They completely had forgotten who they are. They had no idea that the nature of reality is holographic. They had no idea that they were being mind controlled. They basically, they were completely asleep. We have the chance to wake up in our realm. We're kind of lucky and in a very special position. The dimensional people I come across generally have no idea they're mind controlled. Just because they're in a higher dimension, like the fourth or fifth, doesn't mean they know more or they're better than us. A lot of people believe that all these Pleiadians and galactic whatever that we're channeling from the higher dimensions, that they know everything and that they're super benevolent and super powerful. No. We are their equals, and in fact we have a better chance to wake up than they do. We, with our awareness, we have the opportunity to know more than they do. So think about that, consider that. Be very aware of this with the channeled material that you listen to. We are in a quarantine realm, and I do believe most channeled material is monitored. It has to be a certain amount of good stuff in the channeled material, information that resonates, otherwise people wouldn't listen. So a lot of the channeled information is good information in my opinion, but a lot of it is so wrong and gets you to trust and believe in these higher dimensionals, that they are better than you, that they're more powerful than you, when that's totally not true. I have a feeling that Atlantis was the first to fall. I'm not sure what happened with Lemuria. I believe they existed at the same time. And possibly Atlantis fell first or was infiltrated first with the mind virus, the mind control. And as people, I think the agenda of the AI invaders was to separate people, put people, divide and separate. And once people are divided and separate, they're weaker. And so they pit people against people. People were arguing, a lot of fostering mistrust. And that's how civilizations fall. So I'm not sure, I've never really looked into how that all happened, but I know that there are a lot of timeline wars, and so I think many versions might be true, depending on which time space you tune into. So, yeah, I don't know which one is true. I've never really tuned into that because I didn't want to connect with all the trauma there. Well, I did this week. Lucky me. But I also believe that healing the Lemurian trauma or Atlantean trauma is huge, because that seems to be where a lot of our expressions first fell into the mind control, and from there other expressions, it's like a lineage of trauma. So if you can get to the source of the trauma, you can take out a lot of the damage that was done. You can take out a lot of the stolen energies. You know, these beings that fell in Atlantis and Lemuria had a lot of their soul shards and energies and genetic materials stolen to create the dark, evil entities. And I do believe, you know, the AI needed physicality. It needed some bodies. So they would, and you know, they needed soul shards. They want to be creators. The AI wants to be a creator being. So it needs a soul. So no source, no benevolent source would offer to create a soul or give them a soul. So they would just steal them. So a lot of this AI is operating on stolen souls and soul shards. So if we in unity or in individuals, we in this current present moment, as the current present dominant, sovereign, benevolent, awesome selves, reclaim our soul shards that were taken, regardless of contract, agreement, consent of any nature, and they're all neutralized in all moments where applicable for my highest good, then hopefully that will undo a lot of these AI entities that were created from your stolen genetic material, and that might take out a lot of predators and a lot of trauma for you and a lot of karma for you that you then don't have to deal with, so your load becomes a lot lighter and the inner work you have to do becomes a lot less. So now I have a nice amount of lemon zest, and now I'm going to cut some lemons. I need half a cup of lemon juice. I had Mexican for lunch today. It was really good. I had a mango margarita. Oh. That's how I thought I could process energies, but apparently a margarita isn't the way to go. I can hear someone laughing in my head. So now I'm going to share, as I squeeze these lemons, my horror story of dealing with Atlantean and Lemurian trauma. So this probably won't apply to everyone. So there is a parasite. It looks like a white, stringy, octopusy kind of thing that wraps around your spine, and they're real buggers to get off. I found one a couple of months ago, maybe longer, can't even remember, and I couldn't get it off, and it was causing me a lot of trauma and I didn't know what it was. It was just hooked onto me and dishing out trauma. So I called an intuitive friend of mine, and he knew exactly what this thing was. He'd experienced them. And you need a big bonfire. You need to get a big rock that you can put the energy in. You've got to throw it in the ocean or put it in the bonfire and do this big song and dance and ritual to get these buggers off. They need a lot of love. And when they're carrying so much trauma, you know, I was so traumatized I couldn't even find any love and light at all. I was trying to embrace my divinity. It was just so difficult because the trauma was so invasive, and I could not get this parasite off me. So after 3 days of loving it, I finally got it off. It was so brutal. It took every ounce of love and light I have in my entire existence. Finally got it off, and it revealed an entity, a person, a man from Atlantis that was so desperate to heal himself, but he had no idea how to. He was in a completely mind fog state. He was just trauma, that's all he was trauma. And he was a version of me. And what had happened was something had attached him to this parasite, and I couldn't connect with him at all. So someone evil had thrown this parasite at me, hooked it into me, linked to a version of me that was in trauma that I couldn't see, and he couldn't heal himself. He didn't know who he was, and I couldn't see him to heal it. So it would have just meant that I would be in perpetual trauma. It was brutal, but fortunately I got to the parasite, got it off, and once I got this parasite off after 3 days, I realized there was this version of me there that had no idea who he was. I healed it. It was brutal. Got rid of it. And then it happened again about a month later. Another parasite, but this time I knew what to do, so it only took me, I think, about an afternoon to get this parasite off, and then to heal that version of myself. Now I need 113 grams, say 115 grams of butter. Now this has to be a cold cubed butter, so I'm just going to cube it up and put it in the fridge. Now I need 6 egg yolks. I've got cage-free eggs. Just buy the eggs that you can. Bless them, bless everything you ingest. So back to this parasite. So about a week ago I realized I had another one of these parasites and I just could not get it off this time. So here are my 6 egg yolks, and the egg whites, you can make a meringue or you can make angel food cake. I have a recipe for angel food cake that takes 6 egg whites and it's quite good. We have our egg yolks here. Just give them a good whisk. And 1/3 cup honey. And then very slowly you add 1/2 cup of lemon juice. Now I'm going to throw in this. A good mix. Now comes the tricky part. Kind of a low to medium flame. And you have to whisk this continuously. It takes a couple of minutes before the mixture kind of becomes a gel. I think it's hilarious I sound like I know what I'm doing. I'm really not a good cook. And you can test with a wooden spoon. Stays there, so that's ready. And now we're just adding cold cubed butter. So these parasites can be anchoring not only Lemurian expressions of you in trauma, but other entities as well, mostly other versions of you, anchored to you, hiding and very difficult for a psychic to see. You know, they're cloaked. And they keep you in perpetual trauma of emotions. So learning how to get these parasites off is a really good thing. So here we go. Lemon butter, no sugar. Tomorrow morning I'm going to buy a croissant on my dog walk, come home, fill it with lemon butter, gobble it up. That will be my prize for healing this Lemurian trauma. And to finish the story of this parasite that was just so difficult to get rid of, finally this afternoon, it's been with me for about a week. So finally I was at my wit's end and I just started negotiating with it. And I realized it wanted a mate. It wanted to go off in sovereign evolution and start a family. And I put them in a realm for sovereign evolution. So I realize now that's a great way to get these parasites off you. So the Lemurian trauma is very deep rooted. This, I believe, attaching this version of myself in deep trauma to this parasite, they didn't expect that I would find a way to remove the parasite or to be able to heal that, to access that person and heal the trauma. That would be to keep me in perpetual trauma. Perpetual trauma for me was very anxious and angry. I was just continually like very short-tempered and frustrated for days. And some people might be living their lives like this, and this could be one of the reasons why. So if you think you might have one of these parasites, negotiate with it. You don't need to be psychic or to have any abilities. You just have the intent and speak out loud. Have a conversation with it and pretend that you're psychic. Pretend that you have super abilities. I mean, you do, but for the sake of argument, just pretend that you have these super abilities and that you're telepathic and that you're having a conversation with it. And it may listen to you. This is one possibility of how you might heal yourself. I don't say it works for everyone, but when you're hit with these energies, it's worth a shot. If you want to connect with trauma that you might have, if it doesn't seem to heal, you still seem to be feeling the dark or dense energies, perhaps you have a parasite that is anchoring this to you. So negotiate with parasite. If you have Lemurian trauma or Atlantean trauma, it's deep usually. So you will need to cook. You will need to get out and exercise. You will need to get yourself out of the way. Go to the gym, go jogging, walk, do something you love that is engaging. The more distracted you can be with something you enjoy, the easier it will be for you. Breath work is key. I think breathing really helps move the energies, and it helps your energy centers within you, like the chakras. It helps them to expand, contract, to move, to process. So breathing is good. Perhaps water with a little bit of lemon juice in it is also good. Anything you love. So what is the takeaway for today? Light workers, many are compromised and they don't know it. And these are good people. So if you're in conflict with another light worker, it will be dimensional. The AI, the construct, the bad guys, they want to separate us because together we are one hell of a team. They want us separated and divided. They want us mistrusting each other. So basically all conflict, in my opinion, between light workers is totally dimensional. We're being messed with. And we need to wake up and grow up and realize this and get over ourselves and try and heal the root cause of the trauma. Now, I don't say you have to be love and light with people that have done you wrong. But you do have to understand that it is dimensional. Someone's messing with you. So try and heal that because it won't go away. The next light worker that you encounter, it's a script. The same kind of thing will happen to you unless you go for that healing of the root cause. So you don't have to be a doormat for people that treat you bad. But do realize why it's happening. You're being messed with. They're pitting us against each other. So move on. You know, forgive, move on. Don't carry that trauma with you. Just move on. But realize that it may happen again unless you heal this root trauma. So this is the inner work that you can do to make your life easier, to make your experiences and interactions with people less of a drama and a trauma. I think we've got this. With awareness, you know, when we know better, we do better. And, you know, there's a lot of trauma in Lemuria. It was the fall of the realm. You know, Lemuria and Atlantis, I think, were the two major civilizations that fell hard. And a lot of people here today, we carry this Lemurian and Atlantean trauma. And you're not going into 5D or ascending or whatever you want to call it. I just call it raising our vibration, raising our frequency to go into the higher dimensions. You know, it's the higher dimensions is just a state of consciousness. and this state of consciousness cannot have a lot of weight to it. And karma and trauma is a weight. So if you haven't healed yourself, you can be a dog rescuing, off-grid vegan. If you haven't healed yourself and done this inner work, you're not going anywhere. You'll be too heavy. You'll be carrying too much karmic weight, too much trauma. So there's only one way to get out of here. Heal yourself. Love yourself. Know that you have the power within you. You do not need to call out to any entities outside of yourself. Most of these angels are mimics of benevolence. There is an angelic frequency that you can embrace and tune into. But as for these angels, they were created by the church. So how good do you think the church is? What are they hiding? What are their secrets? There is good in the church, that's for sure. My mother's a Christian. She's a very good person. But the church is hiding some very dark secrets, which I hope one day will be exposed. It will help people grow up and wake up. Humanity has to grow up and realize that when we pray or call out to entities outside of ourselves, we are giving up a piece of our sovereignty. If you need to call out to anyone, call out to your greater I am, the true sacred sovereign source of all source creators that you are. Within your DNA, you are carrying so many soul lineages. The dragons, the fairies, the Sasquatch. It is all within you. Call out to the true sacred sovereign benevolent source of all source creators that you are. Because in your greater I am, there might be some darker selves. So you want to make very sure that you call out to your greater I am of the sacred sovereign, benevolent source of all source creators that I am. It's all within you. You are the power. You are so much more awesome than you know. And that's the truth. So, I hope this has made you feel lighter and less entangled, and I hope you make my lemon butter recipe. I'll put it in the description box below. This, I don't believe in heaven, but if there was a heaven, it would be filled with